Welcome to Champagne Problems Podcast. I am your host, Robbie Shaw. Join us as we explore mental and emotional well-being, physical optimization, and the journey to discovering your highest self. Champagne Problems is brought to you in proud partnership with Bond Buzz, the alcohol-free social spirit. Bond Buzz is an award-winning alcohol-free functional beverage company creating adult drinks that are health-forward, all-natural, and uncompromising. They're on a mission to create a future where feeling good and getting buzzed exist in absolute harmony and not at the expense of your health. Their bold concoctions offer focus and energy while calming the nervous system for a night on the town or a productive afternoon. Bond Buzz uses only natural ingredients and a hyper-functional blend of nootropics, adaptogens, and functional mushrooms to amplify the sensory experience. If you're looking for a drink to help you cool off after work or a drink to stimulate your mind and body without the harmful, icky hangovers, drink Bond Buzz for good days only. Welcome back, my people. I just got back from Charleston, South Carolina, where I had the opportunity to sit down with Shep Rose. Shep is one of two original cast members of the hit reality TV show Southern Charm, and will again be starring in the 10th season, set to begin filming in the spring. Shep and I have crossed paths a time or two, and he was kind enough to agree to come on and discuss his journey from business school grad to reality TV star to the public eye and onward. You know we're all about the journey here at Champagne Problems, and Shep Rose is certainly on his. He's a great guy. He lights up the room. He has things he's working on, and most importantly, he's open about it. Let's go to Shep. Shep Rose, welcome to Champagne Problems.
Thanks for having me, even though we're in my neighborhood.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, that was an easy commute, I'll say that.
I thought you might roll up in the golf cart. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I know I know you've met a lot of people. I've met you twice.
Yeah.
One at your sister's wedding.
Yeah.
You did a great job on your toast.
Oh, I nailed that toast.
You absolutely crushed it.
Well, I made a hole in
that
one.
boy gonna be famous.
I made a hole in one at the groomsmen outing, and it was my second hole in one in 3 weeks. So I was just coming in. I was so cocky, so cocky. They started calling me Ace around the reception there.
I love it. That's funny. And then the other time was a music festival down here. We have a mutual friend. It doesn't matter. Ben Bourne.
Of course.
Yeah, you know Bourne.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Bourne.
My sister actually texted me about doing this, and I'll do anything for my sister, so no problem.
Well, that's cool. She and I mean, same class at Chapel Hill, buds since then. And of course, her husband is,
John Scott.
I mean, preschool for me.
Oh, really?
Preschool.
Oh, my God.
Literally.
You've seen the progression.
Oh, my God. And we were roommates freshman year at Chapel Hill. I mean, known him my whole life.
He's a funny guy.
He's a trip, man. He's a quirky one, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is. Very dry humor. Very good.
Super dry.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do a little rapid fire.
Okay.
First live concert and where?
Poison in Savannah, Georgia.
That's the first Poison.
And they were Tesla opened up five-man acoustic jam. Yeah.
Holy shit, that's hilarious. Poison. I've done about 90 episodes. First Poison.
Awesome.
Nice work.
Awesome.
Favorite smell? Keep it PG.
Cherry is my favorite flavor, and my favorite. You know that chapstick. Maybe that's a taste. I don't know.
Yeah, the old chapstick.
Yeah, I don't
delicious
know.
flavor.
Love that. Luden's cough drops.
Luden's. That's the first too. Favorite location to read a book?
In bed.
Okay. Most famous celebrity you've ever met, and I know you've met him, so that's why I had to ask.
Well, I mean, I hung out with Aaron Rodgers a while back at a golf tournament. Danny McBride lives right down the street here.
I know that.
And there's a couple other, maybe I won't even reveal that. They won't be friends for long. Yeah, they're hanging out with me. Not sure the old agent's phone is ringing off the hook afterwards.
All right, and here's a little bit more cerebral one. If you could know the answer to any question, what would you ask?
Okay, is there an afterlife?
Sure.
Or is this it?
Yeah. What's it all mean?
Because damn, that'll inform a lot of decisions from here on out.
Maybe turn back the other direction.
Yeah. Start calling all the dealers in town.
Hey, everybody, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it matters, man. It matters.
I know.
Matters to your loved ones.
Presence is a thing.
Yes.
I get it. All right. Well, let's dive in, man. So, I don't know a ton about you. So I'm going to start, and I think probably a lot of our listeners do, and some might not. So let's do a little, what were you doing before Southern Charm?
I went to business school at Vanderbilt 2008 to 2009, and in between the first and second year, we had, maybe it was 07 to 09, yeah. And so we had to do an internship in the summertime. And by the way, I don't need to tell y'all, 2007, things were going pretty well. And 2008 too, at least the first half of it.
Right.
So I got an internship via my previous work experience with Greg Norman down in at a place in Palm Beach, West Palm, Jupiter. Mm-hmm. He had a company called Medalist Developments. They did golf course communities, and so I knew that world. I had lots of friends there, and I had taken this guy, David Spencer. I was a gopher essentially. They were like, look, go pick this guy up from the airport. He's an Aussie. Go show him this project, and take him out to lunch. And we had the funniest time. I mean, he just right away, that Aussie, just whatever you want to call it, chutzpah or whatever. And I was equal to the task. I was talking smack right back to him, even though he was older, but he loved it, And
jiving.
So, we were just going back and forth and enjoying ourselves. And so just a little half day there, but sort of kept up with him, and he was working in Dubai for the Sovereign Wealth Fund roundabout and building big golf course communities in the middle of the desert. And I was like, maybe I can get in on that if he remembers me, and was able to contact him. And he was like, we've never done anything like that, but yeah, come on. And we'll put you up in a hotel, and we got you a driver. I had a driver named Samir who didn't understand a word I said, and I didn't understand a word he said, but we loved each other. We loved each other. He called me Seth. He was like, Seth, I love you. I was like, I love you too, Samir. And tell you what, and I bought him a pair of nice sunglasses at the mall the last day before I left. So I feel good about that.
Well, all right.
And so had a blast in Dubai.
Of course.
And got an offer to come back.
And this is what, 10, 11?
2008.
8. Okay.
2008 summer. There was zero unemployment in Dubai, and there's just millions of floating around. A lot of it was illegitimate money or laundered money and all this stuff. And but that's none of my problem. So anyhow.
None of my business.
Yeah, stay out of that. Extradition is very tricky. But so I decided to go back. My dad was over the moon. My dad loves the international aspect of my life and his children's lives. So okay, I'm going back. I go back riding high to Nashville, Vanderbilt, and I'm like, yeah, I got an internship, no big deal, in Dubai. And everybody's like, damn. I'm like, I know. And then October 2008 hits, Bear Stearns, gone. Lehman Brothers, gone.
Oh, my God.
And it was just like, oh, no. And I mean, it was fascinating during that time because I was in business school, and all the professors were like, not what is going on. Like, this is insane. This never happens. So it was cool to have a front row seat to it, but it was almost like a slow motion car crash for a lot of us, almost all of us, because no one was hiring after that. I mean, maybe healthcare, but anything in banking, they're trimming the fat big time.
Big time.
So it was a scary time because I didn't know what to do with myself. And my dad was like, well, the bad news is, one of the pieces of bad news is that your specialty is in resort development. Like nobody's building resort. Nobody's building second homes right now for anybody. Yeah. Trying to figure out how to weed out all the bad buyers on their stupid investment properties, like strippers at 4 homes in Vegas. Yeah. So anyhow, it was a little bit of a tense time. And went to Atlanta and I found this restaurant. I'm not even going to name it because I wish them ill. Kind of.
Got it.
I mean, I don't think about it very often, but when
No, but when you do,
well, yeah, I liked the restaurant. It was like a fast casual concept, and I liked it. And I was like, this is good. This will work other places. And I met with the CEO or owner or whatever, and he was like, do you have any restaurant experience? I was like, no, I don't. I mean, I waited tables, and he's like, well, we need some. And I was like, what if I just moved to Atlanta and worked at one of your stores and interned or whatever, and y'all can decide whether you like me and vice versa. So I did that for 4 months. Worked behind the counter, flipping the wok. I was good, man. I was chopping vegetables. I was on the cash register. Met my current girlfriend. I was behind the cash register. She's this beautiful blonde, walks in. I'm like, she orders. I'm like, I don't really work here.
doing somebody a favor.
Yeah, I was like, I might own one of these.
All right.
This is just
Training
a test
to
run.
own.
And we ended up dating for a little while. So funny story. But
And this is after business school.
after business school, 2009,
Wow.
2010, I created an LLC. I was ready to do it. I was looking at different markets to go to, Raleigh being one, Charlotte being one, and Charleston. And our friend B. Reeves, hooked me up with one of his friends in Raleigh who knew the place backwards and forwards as far as commercial properties are concerned, and found a spot and let's call it the 5-yard line, about to score. And, all friends and family know about it. Everyone's excited for me, or, at least optimistic for me. And turns out the corporate had basically pulled the rug out from under me because they got private funding and they were going to do it all in-house. I was their contingency plan, if that makes any sense. And it all just evaporated overnight, which sucked. Meanwhile, right around that time, I was at a rooftop party in Charleston, and I run into T-Rav. I've told this story many times. And T-Rav is this, larger than life guy and a friend of the family. And according to him, we are family. I think we're like 6 cousins or something. And he's like, my friend is here filming a reality show about Charleston. And it was Whitney Sudler Smith. And he comes across the room and I shake his hand and we end up having a bunch of laughs, including over my business card that I gave him that said, go fuck yourself, and had one guy punching another guy in the balls and no number, no nothing. And he loved it. And so that was the sort of beginning of it. And then the next day they took us out to lunch and meanwhile, and so they were like, where can we film? And I thought, well, maybe we can go to my family's farm. And they would love that. We went up there, never been on camera before, never been in a school play before, and just did my thing. We had a bunch of shotguns and whiskey, all the smart things that people are doing out there on farms. And 6 months, I said, I'll never see these guys again, whatever. That was interesting. And 4 or 5 months later, got a contract in the mail. So there you go. Kind of a long story, but a good one.
Very good.
And one door closes, another opens. If I don't go to that rooftop party, I'm not sitting here right now. Who knows what I'm doing?
That's right.
I tell people I'd probably be the top 5 funniest commercial real estate broker in South Carolina.
Wow, man. It's interesting looking back and telling the timeline of events that lead to other things. That's always fun, especially as you get older and there's so many of them.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. So now you're a first time in front of a camera, reality TV. Maybe it makes it, maybe it doesn't. Maybe people hate it, maybe people love it.
Yep.
Going in just fucking blind.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, I had a lot of people in my life say, "Don't do this," and then the coup de grace was my mom. She said, "Look, you should have been on TV years ago."
Oh, nice. You're born for this.
She saw what the potential was there if I just kept it real. What I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the goal, to go in and keep it real. And I didn't know what I was doing. None of us did. That's the beautiful part about the early days, man. We were so green. Everybody was like, what? But it was working. We could tell it was working because we were making each other laugh. Same thing is true they say, and please don't think I'm equating Southern Charm with Seinfeld, but Seinfeld and Larry David, they were like, we didn't get much traction at first, but we were laughing, like, and we thought it was good and touching at times and things.
And that'll
so
spill
that's
over.
good. That's a good thing. I mean, because I think a lot of people in the entertainment world are involved in projects where they're like, God, this is drudgery, and I doubt that many of them will pan out in the end.
Right.
You know?
There's an energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh. That is a trip. All right. Well, give us a glimpse into that world. I mean, I know reality TV it's a different kind of reality.
Yeah.
Right. It's often people watching are going to say that's not reality, but it is a reality in a sense.
Well, and that's why I think I can honestly say, and with, I mean, especially in the beginning, that was us. We didn't know, we were not actors.
Right.
We were found on the street, you know, and then the cameras put up. And I guess what you find, or what I found, is that the camera doesn't lie, and the audience knows. So we've seen people flushed out of our show that just the audience could tell they were trying to be someone they're not, or being two-faced, which is all part of life, right? But for staying power, you gotta have to stick to your guns, or I don't know, and show change and growth and all those things, and honesty, and we'll get to that. You know, like you've got to because I've basically gone. This is 10 years of my life. I mean, you tell me how much you change, or
oh my God,
or your opinions soften, or just completely 180. Yeah.
So all right. So you're on this like kind of balance between knowing that you're there to be somewhat entertaining.
Yes. That therein lies.
But you are an entertaining person, so that wasn't super hard for you. Whereas I think, to your point, there are other people that may not be as entertaining and are trying to, and then they get weeded out because it's not genuine.
Agreed. 100%. So, yeah, it came quite easy to me. I was able. I say this. I'm able to focus more when that red light is on the camera. Some people freeze up, man, and I've seen it. Yeah, and they're usually really funny, and then they can't seem to verbalize.
Yeah,
but I think it's the ADD in me. It's like don't ask me to study a bunch for the test, but once the lights come on, I can somehow perform. Yeah,
I love it. All right, so then I mean, we're talking 10 years of your life.
Yeah. Gone through it all, man.
And you know, I hate to say that I haven't watched much of it, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
But I love to ask, and I'm super curious.
I would be alarmed if you watched a lot of it.
Good. But like, you know, you're shifting, you're changing, like you already alluded to. There's things in your life that are going on. How much of all this is on camera?
That's another thing. I mean, so the veracity of it is, especially in the first few seasons, I'm reacting to what I'm hearing just the way I normally would. Yes, we know there are cameras there, but I mean, we're not actors. So, but having said that, like I went through a lot of different little parts of my life. I mean, I built a house downtown. I was out of control, if you want to know the truth. I was on TV. So I was being recognized. I was in my mid-30s, and I had a little cash in my pocket. Yeah, and I built a house downtown, 3 stories with a rooftop deck. It was near the bars, like you could walk there. I was like the Pied Piper after the lights went on in the bar, as you can imagine. 4 a.m. there's like 40 people, and you don't know really easily more than half. And then and you can't go anywhere. It's your house. Right. You gotta be like, all right, let's dip out here. So, but I will say this, like, yeah, I mean, Bravo doesn't film past 11, 11:30 typically.
Yeah.
But it was starting to show up in some of my behavior just the next day. I mean, just lack of sleep, irritability, and I was just like, I was like, this is no good. And I was like, something bad's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. Right. There's going to be some, something sexual, not with me, God forbid, but there's a bunch of unsavory characters coming in and out of my house. I don't know what's going on in most of these bedrooms.
Right.
And so, anyhow, as you can imagine, I thankfully got ahead of it, and I bought a house out here on the beach. And it's that 20-minute buffer zone is really something else. You kind of,
it's a factor.
You can stay out of trouble for a lot of the times, but I obviously had my moments of insanity out here too. So
sure. So when did you make that shift from being kind of what you recognized as somewhat out of control, and then coming out here to make an attempt to change a little bit?
That was like 6 years ago, like 2015. Well, no, that's more than that. 2016, maybe. Anyways, yeah, I just decided, I was like, look, I'm from Hilton Head Island, a small little beach town. I've always hated places like New York City. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's how we're supposed to live at all. Not that I'm saying downtown Charleston's anything like New York City, but I really appreciated from an early age, and as I grew older, I didn't realize it, but I was starting to say, that's kind of my speed,
Right, a little nature.
Yeah, and then the grocer, the waitresses, and they know what you like,
people
and
looking out for you.
Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, so that was a concerted effort on my part that I'd like to think panned out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so then we're looking at 10 years in here in the reality TV show world.
Yeah.
What do you find as, list the positives?
I mean, the positives are that it's not a lot of work. It's like
you're just living life on film, right?
That can be a downside too. Yeah, because all the free time.
Right.
But screw that. I mean, are you kidding?
Oh, it's the dream.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's got to be.
So I'm able to travel and things like that, and then it's meeting people that you admire, and them actually knowing who the hell you are at certain times,
yeah.
and people being nice to you, and it's not like the only thing, but I'd be a liar if I said it wasn't something that's kind of cool. So yeah, and all these other opportunities come your way, different brands, different people who want to work with you that just simply wouldn't have happened otherwise. Mm-hmm. So it makes life quite lubricated, shall we say? Mm-hmm. At times. And then you have to lubricate yourself, and that's where we're going, I think.
Right. That's where we're headed. All right, so I'm not going to make you list the negatives, but I do.
Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble with
anybody.
Because it's nothing bad.
It's not negative. It's just experience. It's life.
Yeah.
I get that. No, and that's not where I'm going. I'm more thinking about, now you are what, 43? 44. All right. Well, let's shift into what it's looking like going forward. I mean, obviously, this is not forever. In fact, it's probably coming to an end at some point soon. Unless you're doing like Southern Charm in your 50s.
I don't know what. I mean, T-Rav and Whitney sure as hell did.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah. So, yeah. What's next is a valid question, and of course, my dad was always drilling me about it.
Yeah, I know.
So. I like TV. I'm pretty good at it. I've got some really good ideas. Travel show I think would be amazing because I'm a surfer and a golfer and a fisherman and a hunter. All those things are kind of fun to see. Except golf is not fun to watch on TV, especially how terrible I am. But just an adventure travel show would be something I would totally be interested in. But everyone's trying to do that. Everyone's trying to fund their lives.
Right. Well, would it be kind of in the same light where it's still kind of living life on camera?
I think there's a big hole left by Anthony Bourdain. I think that's undeniable because of his sincerity and humor and curiosity, and trying to not just have a good meal, but find out what makes the place tick.
Right.
And I tell you, the craziest things happen to me when I travel. I meet the characters, and I'm not afraid to talk to them or do whatever. So I remember that show Wild Boys with that mixed with Anthony Bourdain, you know, without the food.
Sure.
Just a little adventure stuff I think would be awesome.
It'd be entertaining, no question. All right, so
but that's just one idea.
Sure. Well, you've got stories galore.
I like to write a lot.
There's got to be a book coming.
Yeah, I'm working on something right now. I'm excited about. I'll tell you about it. Yeah.
Tell me.
You want me to tell about now?
Yeah.
Well, after it's right now. It's based in my experience down in Costa Rica, which we're going to get to.
This. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, let's open it up.
No, where were we before? I forgot.
Well, we were talking about kind of shifting. I was more in the career space, but let's go more personal.
Yeah, look, the career space is valid. We'll see. I mean, the thing with the crazy part, and I mean, the dirty little secret of all this is that the amount of followers I've accrued is pretty astounding. Like,
it's insane.
Yeah. So I'm basically a walking billboard, you know. I mean, I've tried to be a little discreet about that.
Sure.
And I think I've done a ship-shape job so far, but I reserve the right to sell you cereal in the future. I just had cereal, by the way. It was awesome.
Good.
I love cereal.
Yeah, good.
If you're out there, Kellogg.
Here's my card. Go fuck yourself.
Or the healthy version, like Kesha, is that or something?
Kashi.
Kashi, sorry.
Kesha.
Kesha's the rapper.
Yeah. Oh, good.
All right, hold on. We just took a break. Now I'm like on the edge of my seat. What? Before we get into enough about me, tell me the short version of your story.
All right, short version was, I mean, my stuff started pretty early. Like, I was a basketball player at Chapel Hill. Like, I played on the junior varsity team, and I was, you know, that was my spotlight.
Sure.
It was just, you know, a lot of respect, a lot of everything. And then I had an experience where I, you know, screwed a relationship up because of my behavior, and that was a first for me. I wasn't 38 when I did that. I was 20, and so I was young and emotionally immature. Had no idea how to handle that kind of stuff, and so I went off the deep end and just started heavy into the drugs and drinking beyond fun. I mean, it was, you know.
You stopped playing ball.
Stopped playing ball.
Yeah,
kind of threw it all away. You know, was failing out of Chapel Hill, getting kicked out, dropping out, all the stuff for, you know, 7 years or so it took me to finally graduate from Chapel Hill, and I had accrued enough DUIs at that point that I didn't have a license.
Oh my gosh, how many did you have?
I had 4 total.
Oh my god.
and
sorry, that's not funny anymore.
Well, dude, this was
everyone
20,
okay? Yeah,
27 years ago. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, everybody's okay. We're all right. But I had lost my license, and it was like, all right, well, what do I do now? So I moved to New York City in the heap of addiction, essentially. So I go up there for almost 4 years, and you know, did everything that you would imagine, and had an absolute blast, and I would never give it up. It was also extremely painful and just internal, struggle and torture and just depression and anxiety and all this stuff. And meanwhile, I'm pouring all this stuff on top of it, and I'm running around with all the people in New York, and finally
spending lots of cash.
Oh, endless. I mean, everything that I had is gone because of New York. And I finally, you know, had hit an end where it was like, all right, this is going to either end in death. Most likely it's just going to end in death. And that's kind of where I was. And so I left New York, came back home, couldn't get it all together, kept going on these big binges, and one of them ended up out in California and got another DUI on the Buds training campus out there, the Navy SEALs. Right. And like, I just took I won't go through the whole story of what happened that night, but it was super ugly. And so I'm in a car, you know, bottle and riding shotgun, trying to go down I-5, trying to get back to the airport to get back home, and take a wrong turn, and I hit this guard gate. and it's the Navy SEAL training facility. Guy comes out, he's like, "Can I help you?" And I mean, I couldn't get a word out.
Yeah.
And so he arrests me, DUI, all that stuff. And my lawyer's like, "You're sorry, but you're going to prison now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that got real."
Wow.
Because that's different.
Unless you proclaim to the judge some major change.
Which I had already done 4 times.
You had?
Yes, many times already.
You already expended that.
This was the end, and I'll tell you this part because this is the best part. I go to a detox house somewhere in the hills outside of La Jolla or something, and I'm in this house and this heroin addicts and people that are just look like they're dying, and I'm basically dying too. I mean, I'm shaking and just detoxing off of everything. And there's this kid sitting over in the corner, and I'm like, I'm shambles, and telling him I need to talk to a lawyer. And he's like, "Man, my dad's a lawyer, but like, I don't know if he'd be able to help you, but you might as well just call him and see if, he's in the area. Maybe he can help you out." And he's like, "But you got to call tomorrow because I'm calling my girlfriend today, and we only got one phone call." So the next day he calls his dad, hands me the phone. His dad says he and one other gentleman in San Diego are the legal team for the Navy SEAL training base.
Okay. Lucky.
This kid's father in a random house in a random detox. I happen to tell him. He happens to get me on the phone with his dad. His dad is one of 2 people that can get me off this charge. Didn't go to prison. Never had a drink since.
Wow.
Almost 18 years.
Did you make a promise to the dad?
I paid him a lot. And yes, I did. I absolutely did.
Good.
A lot of details in there.
Did you do the official or the formal AA stuff or?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in AA since I was 20. Not religiously, but off and on.
Oh.
I'm in and out of AA, and I've had issues since I quit drinking. I mean, I quit drinking and doing hard drugs 18 years ago, but other stuff's come back in, and
sure.
I've been, I'm always on a journey.
That's right. That's right. I agree with that. It's my turn.
Let's do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, so in this past fall, and when I look back, it's other instances, of course, just through life, but my body, it was telling me, my mind, body, both soul, heart, like, you can't do, like, I was blacking out super, like, where I shouldn't have, like, no, not here, not now kind of thing.
That's right.
It wasn't like I was at a music festival or whatever, just like stumbling around or whatever, which I don't want to.
You're supposed to black out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either. So yeah, and it got to scare me some, and I didn't know. I just felt a little super vulnerable, and it happened in Las Vegas again. Like, it's typical lucky ass me. Like, where's some wood? I've never had a DUI. Like, I just haven't. I'm pretty good about stuff like that. So I've avoided these major incidents for the most part. I've spent the night in jail a few times for running my mouth to cops and whatnot, because I'm not into authority at all. And
you're in good company.
Yeah. And so again, all is well in the world, but I was like, the reputational risk and the physical risk and not listening to your body, it's just all these things. And so it happened in Vegas. I got got in trouble with the casino for yelling at a pit boss. Again, authority.
Dealt you the wrong card.
Big time. Like 4 hands in a row. I was like, that can't be. When you think you haven't won, you're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And they draw a 5 or whatever on a 16, and you're just like, that's not 3 times in a row. Not 3 times in a row. The odds say no. So that, and then I came back here to Charleston, tail between my legs, and a couple things happened that are unfortunate, but not to me. It was just in my life. Had a little relationship sort of peter out, and then I had another. Georgia was playing Tennessee. Went with my little dog up to the bar on the harbor, and just post it up. Everybody's buying shots. There's an element, a big element of that. If you want to say downside, but it's also an upside. You can't tell which. People really want to, hey, my girlfriend or my wife or my friends love you. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, let's go, you know? And that's who and I said this at the reunion. That's kind of what my identity was or is, or whatever you want to say. Hey, it's the fun-loving guy from that show.
Yeah, let's go party with him.
Yeah, who parties and doesn't have a care in the world or whatnot. And so I played that role maybe too well. Yeah, I'm like Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm so deep in this role.
Living it, I love it.
So I just was like, shoot. And I scared myself. Whitney and Austin had to take care of me. I was downtown.
That night?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure someone gave me some drugs. Probably guess what kind. And I was just a shot out of a cannon and walking up and down King Street looking disheveled and talking to an evil person who wanted to talk to me. It was just like bad luck central. And what's going to happen? You just meet the wrong cop or bar owner and then you spend the night in jail. And I'm like 44. I can't be doing even when I was 35, it wasn't as funny, but it was a little funnier.
Yeah, a little
funnier. Now there's no humor. None. It's bad.
Not much humor around that. No.
Went home, got thankfully put back in a taxi and went home. And woke up and did the whole apology tour. But people weren't even answering my calls, they were just like, no, dude. Like,
done.
Yeah. And so it's obviously more Sunday scaries or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And I went to the Greenbrier with my family for Thanksgiving. We all stayed there. And I told my mom and dad and brother and sister, it's like, I just scared myself, and this is why, and this is how. And I mean, we've got a really good family, great family, and we don't really share all that much stuff openly. We just don't. We're not. We're getting better. I know it's like
we're working on it.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't. I've said this before. I'm not sure I've ever really said I love you to my like brother or anything like that, or maybe to my sister a couple times. But like it was a very waspy thing going on.
You know I love you. I don't need to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it was kind of important that I talked to them, and then I was able to curtail.
That's a big step, by the way.
Yeah.
To open up to people that you don't typically open up to. That means it's
good.
real.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I don't like. That's another part of why, like another like unintended positive here is that I'm such an open book and such a loudmouth that it actually ends up being to my advantage because I want to let people who I care about know. I do not want to hide things because that's when bad things happen. Is when you're. You know, you feel shame and you isolate yourself. You are playing with forces that can be greater than you.
Yeah.
And so
secrets, man.
Yeah, it's a nasty, nasty combination, a dangerous cocktail. Anyhow, so I was able to, I was good, man. Me and John Scott gambled on the blackjack tables. We won at the Greenbrier. It was fun. We were high-fiving, you know. It was one of those great redemptive blackjack experiences.
Those.
That never happens. So it was fine.
Everything's right in the world right now.
And then I went down to Texas and was okay and was hunting. And so I was like, okay, just recalibrate. But on the end of that, around that time, I was like, my friend had taken ayahuasca down in Buenos Aires and she'd done it 8 times, and she was like, you got to do it. Like, it's it's fascinating. It's a deep dive into yourself. Well, and I thought this was a good opportunity to do so. So I called, I got a reservation.
Never done anything? Never done this before?
Never done it. I've done psychedelics ad nauseum.
Yeah, but not in the therapeutic kind of set.
No, and I didn't know what to expect. And so it was, and I'm going to write a book about my landing there, getting on the bus, being the new kid at school. We're all new kids at school, the fish out of water. We're not in Kansas anymore. That whole thing. It was so funny to me and fascinating. And I just kept writing. And so I think it'll be a funny book. If I have to self-publish, if anybody's interested out there. But I think I'll self-publish. I've worked with Simon & Schuster in the past, but maybe they don't want a book about ayahuasca.
Probably, man. They probably would.
It'd be a niche book.
It would.
Yeah. But anyhow, so it was just fascinating and so helpful. And there's a couple things that happened there. A few things. And as far as realizations and things about myself that I already knew, but like you just confront and thankfully I don't have a lot of trauma in my life.
Yeah.
I just don't. And a lot of people do. And I've met them and they cried on my shoulder kind of thing. And so really beautiful experience. And I mean, the medicine was wild. I mean, a couple funny things happened with people losing their mind and running off and you know, being taken back. And then the next day they're like, well, how bad was it? You're like, dude, they've seen it all before. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you're fine. Yeah. And I met some really cool people down there. One is an ex-Navy SEAL who I'm going to see in Austin this week. And then another was a world champion jiu-jitsu fighter who I'm going to see. And then this ex-NFL player who was an editor at Sports Illustrated and Men's Journal. And he wants to work with me. He like hiked all the highest summits, just impressive people. Jesus. And I was like, this is great. And I should have come here because there's a saying they have there, make yourself uncomfortably comfortable.
Yeah.
Something along that lines. I might have been botching that. That's why I'm going to write a book because I'm going to get it right.
Get comfortable in your discomfort.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. And that's how good things happen. A lot of the times is putting yourself in a position you're not quite sure. It's not familiar to you.
Yeah. Or you don't want to do. It's like having coffee with somebody you don't really want to go have coffee with, and you go do it, and they introduce you to somebody that makes you $1 million.
Sure. Exactly. So don't write everything off, which I don't. That's not my personality. I'll try anything. So so many cool things happen. I mean, I thought I kind of...
Did you go down there by yourself?
Yeah. And met some cool people, went surfing, and so basically, and I'll just share with you one brief thing. I pictured a amusement park ride where the swings hang down from the center, and then they get going and they go outward. And a lot of people I loved were on the swings, but I was the pole. And if I'm not sturdy, if I'm not reliable, there'll be no novelty in my life. And novelty is important to me. Amusement, the ride is important. But I can't be wobbly or else everybody flies off to their demise. Right. Or the park gets shut down. I don't need that park getting shut down.
Dude, that's interesting.
That's just one little thing, man. Yeah, there's so much more.
It's so dreamy. It's so analytical, you know, just like
and then
dream analysis.
My experience with the Milky Way, I can get into that too. The stars.
We'll go offline for some of this stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's so cool. And so so you came back with
You have to connect the dots, I'll say.
Sure.
You have to be intuitive. And
well, it's a subconscious. Some of it might not even make sense.
No, and some people that were there, God bless them, weren't feeling it. Yeah. And the uniform characteristic I observed was a cautiousness and sort of maybe even a lack of experience in the psychedelic world. I'm not saying you have to do it, but you have to be willing to really make some leaps of logic that are kind of wild, and then it'll all make sense because you're right there analyzing it all.
And it's all in your own head. It's nowhere else.
It is. Yeah. There's no talking to anybody else, no touching. Like it's your little thing. Yeah.
Fascinating. All right, so you come back, and what lights have gone off for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the big thing is integration. That's what they say. Like you gotta apply what, you can't, it's not just a magic pill,
Sure, you got to bring it back and utilize now.
So I brought it back. I didn't drink for 2 weeks. They asked us not to. That was interesting. I went to a Grateful Dead cover band sober and drove
18 years.
Yeah, and drove my
sober.
friends. I liked that part. They did too. Saved them some money on.
Yeah.
And so and then I had I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I had a hiccup in Nashville. I was visiting friends and just, I had a lot of free time and I went to school there. So I know all my old haunts and stuff. And I just had one too many and I'm okay. Again, nothing happened, but I've heard from a friend that was just like, dude, can't do that. And I was like, I know. So good lesson to learn, a painless, relatively painless one.
Yeah, all right.
But, and then I talked to my friends who I was down there, in Costa Rica. I texted my two of the guys that I really respected and liked, and they were like, Shep, you've been doing something the same way for 25 years. He's like, do you think, what do you think's going to happen?
Right.
Like, and furthermore, you were, I don't want to rationalize, but furthermore, you were in, this town that's famous for, wild behavior, and you screwed up. But again, everyone's okay. No one's hurt. Just store it. So, stored that and just keep trying, keep being better. I think it's well within my reach.
What are you trying to do? Control it?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be the best version of myself is what I'm trying to do at the end of the day. And there's a sweet spot in there that can work, I think. I mean, and if it doesn't, I'll reassess, take inventory.
Understood. So this is the work that I've been doing for 10 years with people who come to me. I want to make changes. Often it's around alcohol because that's my expertise. My life has been entrenched in alcohol. And it's very similar. It's I want to try this. I want to stop drinking liquor. I want to only drink, I want to only drink 2 days only on the weekends. I want and all these different attempts, and I'm all for it. And I actually work as a coach to do that.
Yeah,
because it's much more effective to make those efforts with someone holding you accountable, and not so much so you can be successful, but to help you analyze the results.
Yeah.
So if you have a slip in Nashville and come back and talk to me about it, you can't brush it under the rug.
No, I'm not trying to.
No, I know, and but that's the effectiveness of definitely taking.
I did not have to say this on this podcast. You realize that? I'm letting you know, and everyone know that it's not. It's a moving target, and I think I'm going to be okay. But I reserve the right to find my own way.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. And if anybody can do it, why not you,
And there's
right?
a Spanish saying, my yoga teacher wore it on his shirt the final day because I was thinking about a lot of things. And I go, what? He goes, in Spanish, I speak a little Spanish. What's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And that's okay. No pasa nada. Mm-hmm. Which means my shit is my shit. Your shit is your shit. That's all right.
And that's good. That's fine.
And, I welcome support or even whatever, but at the end of the day, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's not yours.
No question.
So I'm sure you know that quite well.
I do know it very, very well, and I lived it for many years.
Yeah.
The amount of people that wanted to control my efforts and my journey, and it sent me the other direction.
Correct. So
right. So that's why when I do this work, I let people reach out to me, and they're the ones, leading the.
All right, I'll save your number.
Anytime. I'm not a therapist.
No,
that's not what I do. I help people get where they're trying to get.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I would be lying if I said I want to drink a beer and watch a ball game in perpetuity if I can. You know what I mean?
Of course. Me too.
Right. I'm sure. But yeah, the liquor and shots, bro. Shots. They're it's really pervasive.
God, it's so hard.
And people are still doing them like they're candy. And I mean, and again, a lot of it, almost all of it is physiological. I was able to be, consume at a rate that's probably super unhealthy, but now I can't.
But pretty successful.
Now I can't. I can't do it. I just.
Oh yeah.
And so
hangovers are worse.
You make rules and you stick to them. And if you break them, you feel like shit, and you try not to do that again.
Yeah. So is life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you hope you don't hurt anybody. Thank God I'm not an angry drunk or.
Or a jump in your car drunk.
No.
That was
Although I did get in a slight yelling match on Super Bowl with someone who thought that Taylor Swift was controlling the outcome of the Super Bowl. It honestly thought that. Honestly thought that. It was like, I know it to be true. She's like, she wants Joe Biden to
win.
The flag. I was
Throw
like,
the flag.
if the Chiefs win, Joe Biden doesn't walk into the White House for 4 more years. That's absurd.
That's so absurd.
It just made me, I don't suffer fools gladly. I'm trying to be better, but that wasn't part of my ayahuasca journey. I didn't see a bunch of morons that I had to deal with.
Oh God, I love it. I would yell. I would get in a yelling match.
Okay,
over that
good. I'm glad to know.
Oh, believe me, nobody's that enlightened.
I was like, so you're telling me every single member of the San Francisco defense is like, you know what? I'm going to lay off today. It's the Super Bowl. It's my dream, my childhood dream come true.
Perfect sense.
I worked out my whole life for this moment, and I want Taylor Swift to see this win. Oh, yeah, good God.
Makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, everything's as good as, again, I'll screw up again, but I'm just really, it's not funny anymore, So, and I used to shrug it off. I was like, that's who I as short, as long as, 2 years, 3 years ago, I'd be like, well, sorry, you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs.
Yeah.
And I thought that, and I kind of just laughed it off. And I don't think that anymore.
Let's do one quick thing around identity, because I think that is the most, that's exactly what we're talking about. You spent years kind of
being incentivized
exactly
to misbehave and
fill that identity
and to yell at your friends.
That's right.
Or not really yell, but just be ostentatious.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what I was supposed to do.
And it perpetuated, and now
I got rewarded for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine those incentives?
Exactly.
In your behavior? That's crazy, because as you were going around New York, you were in a despair. But let's say someone was giving you a lot of money to go around New York and behave that way. That would have been something else, huh?
It'd have been a lot worse.
You'd be in the East River face down.
How's this?
Playing dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not blaming that. That is not a rationalization. It's it's all happening the way it should. That's what they say. Yeah.
No question. It does make sense. And so now you're getting to a point where we all in our 40s have some wake ups around lots of things.
Yeah.
I've got a wife and a daughter, and there are wake ups around that.
Yeah.
It's like, even when I was 39 and had a wife and daughter, I wasn't as awake as I am now. There comes a point where it's like, dude, I'm a little closer to the end of life than I am to the beginning of life, and that's a weird wake up.
Yeah, it is. And I do think that a wife and child is a good personal check to have. I'm not saying that's a reason to go do it, but the settle down thing is real. Everyone does it at a different pace. Obviously, mine is glacial. But
Glacial.
I do think that there's big value in that, and
well, there's lots of things that can create that wake up. That just happens to be one that's pretty common.
Yeah, but I'll say this: chasing girls around is not the best thing for your mental stability and your physical and all that, because
at this point
it equates it well, and it never gets old. Ha ha ha. But no, but it sort of necessitates a certain social going out and consuming and stuff like that. There's something to be said. When I was dating my ex Taylor, she'd drag me by the collar, and God dang it, I probably needed that almost all the time. So that's a good thing to be dragged by the collar, kind of, to a certain degree.
As you're 44, as you're making some changes, ayahuasca experience, getting in touch with a lot of things inside of you that may not be as prevalent as when you're not on ayahuasca. What does your identity look like going forward? What would you like it to be? And don't say it is what it is.
Smart, insightful, compassionate. Those are things, yeah. And self-examining. I mean, that's such a big thing. You know, if you don't live an examined life, then you're not living a life, in my opinion. And or you're delusional. But they're out there. Boy, are they out there.
Oh my God.
And, you know, not to name names, but, you know, there's just people that you can't believe that they believe what they believe.
Yeah.
And they don't even believe it, but it's like George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that I'm not a hypocrite. Yeah. That's all.
Continue to grow.
Yeah. And I hate hypocrites. And so I'm not going to try to tell you that I'm living some way and then just try to hide some stuff that I'm not proud of. That's part of it. Just like, hey, not perfect. I think people really need to, I said what I said at the reunion that kind of sparked a lot of interest or concern. And I said it with some trepidation. I knew that I had screwed up and I was sufficiently scared, and I went over in my head what I might want to say. And when the time came, I told Andy Cohen, I was like, hey, can you give me a few minutes at some point? He's like, yeah. And I didn't tell anybody in my castmates what I was going to say. And it came across pretty somber. But you know what? Like, and I don't hate, but I do roll my eyes at the term, like, if it helps just one person, you know what I mean? But I thought I spoke to some friends and family, people close to me, and they all had similar story. Oh yeah, listen to what happened to me. Mm-hmm. I'm 42 or I'm 48 or and I thought I could still do this and this, and I cannot. And you know, they have kids and wives and stuff. And so I thought, okay, this is a thing, and maybe people need to hear this, and I'm going to be really honest and open about it. And a lot of people responded in a very lovely way, but a lot of people are like, here's my number, I've been sober for 15 years. I'm like, okay. I was like, I didn't really say that, but
no, you didn't. But I saw it. You didn't say sober,
but that's okay. No. I what a strong bond the AA community has, and it's a nice thing for sure. It's so supportive.
Yeah, it is.
And so maybe one day I'll be amongst you, but let's hope not because of some tragic accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's plenty of people that take the road of healthy living and call it sobriety that are not in AA.
There you go. And I told you before about this business idea I have, and then I'm going to write my book. I said this on the reunion. A lot of it was idle hands or a devil's workshop. So, you know, got 9 months off a year, got a pocket, just got a nice wallet going on, and then what happened was, you know, it's funny. What happened was, I think I'm always reassessing, trying to play how things went down. And I went to Scandinavia, and for a month by myself, had a blast. Then I went to Greece, which was a little more out of control. I was with Austin and Whitney. That was sort of not so good. But
when was this?
In the summer.
Gotcha.
And I went to Alaska, Milwaukee, Chicago, Argentina, and had a great time. But there was little signs here and there, and you know, a couple nights. But I guess we all did that. I don't know. So I get back to Charleston, and like the music stops, and I don't really have a trip to plan or anything. I've got a few months here, and I hadn't been home in forever, and I think it was just like, what am I? You know, what am I doing? I don't really have any projects I'm excited about. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important. Really important is to be excited about something and be enthusiastic and work at it and work at yourself too. But So that's part of it, and I'm excited for this next part. But it was funny. So my best friend was in Alaska with me fly fishing, and I told him about my most recent revelation around Christmas time. He's like, "Yeah, Shep." I was like, "What?" He goes, "I've been meaning to talk to you." I was like, "Meaning to?" He goes, "Man, we were in Alaska, and you and for lunch on the side of the river." Like you were just slamming beers and wine. He's like, it was noon. We're in Alaska. Like you don't need to do that. And I was like, right. You're exactly right. Like how stupid. And we'll get home and have a few beers and eat a nice dinner and wake up and do it again. But he was right, and it's like that sort of permanent vacation mentality that I sort of have been fostering for a while now. And it's dangerous. Obviously, it's dangerous. I'm not on vacation, even though it appears so. I mean, your brain's going to go on vacation, and that's that. I want to be clever about how I live.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. I should be sent to Vienna or something and studied by proteges of some of the greats.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a pretty damn easy
You're
diagnosis.
One of a kind.
Pretty damn easy diagnosis, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, man, it's. I mean, back to the journey. It's just a journey, and we all have fascinating experiences and events in our lives and thoughts, and some of us lose control, some of us don't. There's just a stigma in the alcohol and substance space, and those things are created for you to lose control over.
Yeah,
they are the most stimulating, rewarding, pleasurable, euphoric fucking things you can do out there. How would you not get hooked on that? Or hooked being the stigmatic word, but how are you not drawn to things that make you feel fucking fantastic?
And how about on Instagram? Every other meme is like, got wasted last night, and
totally. And it just gets
or the husband came back from golf
fed.
And he's hammered again.
Right.
It's just it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and everyone's celebrating it.
They are, and even throw that aside and just throw regular life in there, and we all struggle with equally attractive things.
Yeah.
It's just reward systems and pleasures, and for me, it's food. It doesn't give me the high that all artificial stuff does, but we all battle these things. Is my point.
Well. And our parents' generation, they didn't have. I don't remember many of my parents' friends who were sober. This is a new thing, and it's a positive thing. It's a good thing, and people are starting to take care of themselves and analyze themselves.
They are.
Before, I was talking to B about this. I was like, he was like, no, if you were like a bad alcoholic in my dad's age, you were just that crazy friend,
that's right.
Who said inappropriate things.
The loony bin,
or whatever.
Of rehab,
And so it's interesting what's happening, and I do want to be on the crest of a good wave here, and I mean everything's pointing in one direction, so I just stop, don't fight it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the getting in touch with yourself, like the body and the mind and the spirit, because then there's nowhere to run, and you follow what makes you feel good, act good,
full heart,
totally.
Yeah. Follow your heart. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
All right.